Hello and welcome back to Matt Hayes' Tottenham Blog and to another Tottenham transfer stream. I'm delighted to say I'm not on my own tonight. You don't have to listen to my whiny voice for half an hour because we've got some fantastic guests on to talk transfers. We'll talk about Yves Bissouma, Tottenham's third confirmed signing of the window. We'll also look at Jed Spence, Christian Eriksen and Lautaro Martinez, and as well some potential outgoings with Emerson Royal finally attracting some interest. We'll also talk on Giovanni Lo Celso, Sergio Reguilon and Davinson Sanchez. I'm delighted to say I'm joined, like I said, by three fantastic guests. First of all, to my side, we've got Kuva. How are you getting on tonight, my friend?
Doing very well, Matty. Thanks for having me on. First time for me.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, you're the show to be on when it's transfer activity, without doubt. People look for you. So good to be involved in one for a change.
Absolute pleasure to have you on for your channel debut. We have returning the caller from the Cheese Room podcast. How are you getting on?
It's always a pleasure to be on. Normally I've got a beer during the show, but I've been off today and I've been in the back garden chilling with the kids. I must have drunk about 8 pints already. So strictly water for me tonight, Matt. So hopefully I'll stay coherent.
Sure, this is the first time.
Which would be a first, yeah.
The first time I can be calm and composed about what might come out of your mouth during a stream. Dave at the Irish Hotspur, welcome back to the channel.
No, look, I appreciate being asked to come back, my man. It's been a long time. I've been dying to get back on. Look, I'm absolutely buzzing. Let's get into it, Matty. I'm here to talk transfers. I can't wait. It's been a really busy window.
It has. It's been a busy window and we're only 7 days in, which is the confusing part for Spurs fans. Before we do dive into, first of all, talking about our third signing in Bissouma, I do want to make sure that everyone who's watching make sure that you know where the subscribe button is. It's just below the video, so please do click that if you want more of this transfer content throughout the summer. And make sure to hit that like button as well if you're enjoying seeing other faces on the stream for a change. Let me know that you enjoy this content and we'll get this done a little bit more throughout the window. But first of all, like I mentioned, we have completed the signing of Yves Bissouma on a 4-year contract from Brighton. He signed for £25 million, potentially rising to over 30 in what is a huge signing for Spurs, a fantastic bargain, a player with only 1 year left on his contract, and as he said himself earlier this season, potentially one of the best midfielders in the Premier League. Kuva, we'll come to you firstly on this one. What are your thoughts on the signing?
It's one of the things we've been crying out for a long, long time. This is a sort of cross between Dembele and prime Wanyama. He's got the destructive force of Wanyama. He's got the ability on the ball of Dembele. Well, perhaps not quite as good as Dembele. Very few are, but he's in the same sort of ballpark for it. And he's just going to control those midfields. He did it against us. That's all you needed to see was both games against us. He destroyed our midfield, absolutely destroyed it. I mean, Arsenal are getting all excited about their poxy little signings, but Bissouma's the one. Bissouma's the one that's actually takes us that step higher. There's no doubt about it. We're not going to get pressed outside our box anymore. Those days of giving the ball away cheaply, they're gone. This is a remarkable, real step up to what we've had before. People have bigged up Højbjerg over the last few seasons, rightly so. He's done well for us, but I've never been a huge fan of his. I always thought he's nearly great player, but just falling a bit short of it. I think Bissouma's the one to take us that next level. He has got that power, real power. He's a dominant force, much needed. This is somebody opponents can be scared of, and it's part of the reason people are going to start fearing our team again, as it should be. No more cheap victories for people. They've got to really, really come for a fight now. Fantastic signing. Regardless of what else we do, I think this is probably our best signing of the season.
Yeah, it's hard to disagree, to be honest, and it's just enjoyable to hear a Spurs fan so optimistic. It's been a while since we've been here, especially this early in the window, and talking to teams fearing us. I think that's exactly what we want. You mentioned Arsenal there. We got a super chat from Derkson G, who says really happy about Bissouma because he is great, and we spent less money than the Gooners for Vieira, who is not Premier League proven. 5 more for the summer and 2 to 3 in January. I love the optimism, Darkton G, and thanks well for the super chat. We got a super sticker as well from Pam. It's the game over sticker. It's definitely game over for our rivals with the way this season is shaping up. John Stokes as well with the £1.80 says, evening Matt, Dave and panel. Thank you everyone for the support. I really do appreciate it. Caller, I suppose same question to you, just your general thoughts on the signing of Yves Bissouma.
Yeah, look, he's a Premier League proven player, isn't he? Bissouma is an up-and-coming dominant central midfielder. Exactly what we want. When you think about the business we're doing here, £25 million, right? We're probably going to sell Winks for 20. So we've managed to upgrade Harry Winks for £5 million. I mean, if that isn't good business, I don't know what is. And obviously, I'm not really a Winks acolyte. I'll be quite pleased to see the back of him. But Bissouma is just a quality ball-winning midfielder who can finish as well. He can finish. He's brilliant at finishing, in fact. So he's done it against us, done it against the Goon. And look, I think it's a statement of intent, and I think there's a lot more to come. Every Spurs fan should be really excited about this. You think about how that midfield is going to look next season. There's so much, opportunity to rotate. I think we're a central attacking midfielder away from a really potent midfield now.
Yeah.
Just for anyone who's playing caller bingo, 5 minutes and 11 seconds is what it took to get the Harry Winks slander in there. I'm sure plenty of you had that on your card. David,
I'll
ask the same.
Come on, Matt. $5 million to upgrade Harry Winks to Bissouma. You've got to say that's good business.
I'm not saying you're wrong. I'm also saying that wasn't surprising. David, same question to you. Yves Bissouma, what are your thoughts?
I'm absolutely buzzing, Matt. I have a number of points on this. First of all, like the two boys were saying, Premier League proven there's no adaptation period from a player coming in from a different league that has to try and get used to the physicality, the demands, the pace that the Premier League is played at. There's no adaptation period. He's already been in the Premier League for 3-4 years. He knows what it's all about, so he's more or less exactly ready to go. As well, the second thing is, I haven't seen a guy at Tottenham Hotspur since Moussa Dembele that, has been able to put in a dominant performance in that midfield, in the middle of a park, being the one that is kind of like giving you that springboard to go on and win games. Look, we've all played the game. You dominate midfield, you tend to go on and win most of your games. That's just how it works. That's just the way football is. We know how important a centre midfield is because we were playing with Harry Winks in beside Højbjerg up until January. Bring in Bentancur. Look how things changed. The style of play, everything. Bissouma will bring that ability to be able to dominate that midfield. Like, you can come off a pitch or you can walk away from a game and going, my God, Bissouma just absolutely dominated today. He brings athleticism. He brings a bit more pace into the midfield that maybe we do not have. You look at the midfielders and the options we currently have. I'm not even going to include Harry Winks because, look, we all know my thoughts on him and probably a bit more harsh with mine than the caller, I would think. But look, you look at the midfield options we do have, Matty. Bentancur. He's a player. He gets on the ball. He sprays the ball left, right, through, up to Harry Kane. He's a ball player midfielder, but he's also always available looking to receive a pass. But he's never going to dominate a midfield for you. You look at Højbjerg, workhorse, will win tackles, can do a bit of passing. You see near the end of the season, getting forward, etc., etc. But again, never really comes off or dominates a midfield. Ollie Skip coming through, again, another workhorse, similar to Berg or to Højbjerg. But none of them have that ability to be able to dominate the midfield. Now, look, Bissouma, I slightly disagree with the caller on this. I don't think you're getting a too much of a goal-scoring threat, in my opinion. But what you do get is someone with a ball-carrying ability that can pick up the ball from deep, like Moussa Dembele, take 2-3 players out of the game, create, a lot more opportunities, especially against teams that sit low block. That's what we've been missing this season. We've just watched our team pass it from side to side. And you're looking at it. It's certainly me on my watch along, so I'm looking at the game, screaming at it. Someone take someone on. Take one of their players out of the game. Stop trying to pass through them. Basuma can do that. So, again, another great option. But if we want to complete our midfield and have all the options available to us, what I do agree with the caller on is that we do need someone that has a bit more of an attacking midfielder sort of role that Conte can use in a 3 or use in a 2 that does bring that goal scoring ability. And then we have the whole, any type of option you want. But what this midfield, bringing in Bissouma, having the likes of Bentancur, Højbjerg, Skip, you've got 4 players that are good people that want to be at Tottenham Hotspur, unlike before when you had and Ndombele, Ali, Lo Celso. So that's why I've always been screaming how important it was to get rid of these guys. They don't want to be here. So no matter, even if you're playing in cup games, early round in the cups, you're going to see one of them 4 out, 2 of them 4 out there in them cup games. And what it does, it gives all the other players around them a better chance to succeed. You won't see us struggling in their matches, like watching us struggle against someone like Morecambe. was an absolute killer, but you won't see us struggle in them games because you have good lads out there. But if you're given players that maybe don't go out on loan, say for instance, last season, Dane Mbappe and Gil Messi, they didn't really stand a chance in some of the early Europa Conference League games when they were playing them because of the guys that were playing in the midfield behind them. They couldn't get them the ball. But now they will stand a chance. Now you have players that can help coach them through the game as well. So it's a win-win for Tottenham getting in Bissouma and having the options we do. I'm very, very happy with it. 25 million. This is a guy that Harry Redknapp on TalkSport said he'd pay 70 million for. And this is a guy that ex-Spurs legend Chris Hughton came out and has massive praise for, and who's the one that brought him to Brighton in the first place and gave him his shot in the Premier League. So it's a win-win for Tottenham. It's very, very happy with the deal, as you can tell. I have a lot to say.
Yeah, spot on, David. The thing is with Bissouma, you're quite right. He's definitely not a goal-scoring midfielder. He's averages something like a goal a season. It's not his role.
He's not. But he has bagged in a few absolute worldies.
He has the ability to.
Yeah.
The Tuba's banged in a worldie. You don't notice him for it, do you? I mean, he's more the ball carrier. It's like Dembele. Dembele had a great shot on him as well, but he wasn't noticed for his goal scoring for us. It's the ball retention and the fact he can bring it forward without losing it. He's great passing it under pressure. There's more to his game. What he does do though is he enables the rest of the team to attack more freely. Especially I'm looking at the wing backs, because if we get another centre back in as well, we really strengthen at the back with Bissouma sat in front, Bentancur, Højbjerg, Skip. There's a lot of solidity there in front of the goal. The wing backs can really get at it. With the likes of Perisic going up there to join the attack. Whoever we end up with on the right, whether it's the speculative punt on Jed Spence, or we're looking at a bigger name there, somebody that can actually offer that attacking ability and get forward freely, because they know there's plenty of cover at the back there. That's a major part of this whole Conte system, is having that solidity to allow the wing backs forward. And that's exciting. Bissouma enables all of that. We were looking a bit fragile before that. No matter how good Højbjerg has been doing for us, he is not in the same class as someone like Bissouma when it comes to just give him the ball. Nobody's getting that off him. You need to be another tank yourself to have a chance. And then it's a thunderous challenge to get the ball. Brilliant signing. Absolutely brilliant signing. I can't wait to see what that enables us to do now.
It'd be very interesting. It'd be really interesting to see how we set up and how we deploy versus different opponents, because who would your first choice? Who would your first two be? It very much depends who you're playing, because you need that creator. I know we're going to talk about Eriksen. That's the missing part of the piece. You need that creative guile, because what you've got there is three players. They're not completely similar. And Højbjerg, because Skip can ball carry. Bentancur is a decent ball carrier, and he's got a good pass on him. Højbjerg is just a workhorse, as you've said. My opinion on Højbjerg, he's a good crab. He moves left and right, but he doesn't really go forward much. And I think we need that cutting edge. We need that cutting edge. And if it's not Eriksen, we've got to get someone else, to do that job. Because when we play teams like, and I know Burnley have been relegated, but teams like Burnley who sit back, put 11 men behind the ball, Bissouma, Højbjerg, Winks, God help if he's still there, Skip, these guys are not going to break that down. You need a different option.
And as well, it just means that, Conte, like last season, he had to stick to the one way of playing, the one formation, because we all know he didn't have a bench to work with. Exactly. But now this gives him options. He can go and play that tree at Inter Milan that he was so famous for. He can stick to the two in midfield if he wants to. You look at the bench. He has midfielders now that can come off the bench and change the game if necessary. But the biggest thing is it gives us options. So any given day, any given game, any given opposition, we have the answer in that midfield to be able to put our best foot forward in them games, rather than having to persist with people that may not be the best option for that game. We now we're starting to build a squad, which is what you need in football. You look at Liverpool, who went for the quadruple last season, because they have strength in that they have a squad. They also have a lot of good young players coming in, so when they do play in the cup games, but they have good professionals to put them in there as well, and that's what helps gets them through a lot of them early rounds in the cups and stuff like that. So it's I call him Bamusa, by the way, Matty, but after Musa Sissoko. So Or not Musa, sorry,
Musa
Musa
Dembele.
Dembele. Musa Dembele, so I call him Bamusa.
I was going to say, not after Sissoko, surely.
I love
No,
that.
I got that one wrong. Sorry, it's a slip of the tongue. I meant Dembele.
If you ever need a nickname made for a player, David is your man. We got over 500 people watching already. Please do make sure to hit those like and subscribe buttons. We got a few super chats as well. Loves Music says, random, has a here we go ever been wrong? And I've been thinking about this since it was sent in. I'm not sure David Silva, when he went to Real Sociedad a couple of years ago, it looked very likely that he was going to Lazio. I think to the point that Lazio's president actually expected that signing to be done. I'm not sure if I got the here we go, but from what I can think of, that would be the only one that maybe would have gone close. We've another super chat as well from Powder, who says on Bissouma, that's a good thing we have a manager that can raise his potential, and it absolutely is. Thank you very much for the super chats. And on that point, I have a few quotes from Bissouma in his first interview with Spurs today. He said, I'm very happy to be here. It is a great club. I'm just happy to be here and be a Spurs player. I hope we can have a good season. And on Antonio Conte, he said he's a great coach. He's going to help me more to be what I want to be. Tried to help the team as well, so I'm very happy to play for him. And my favourite quote, I think everybody's favourite quote from Yves Bissouma today, was he said, London, Spurs and Champions League music, that is my dream. Which just goes back to show the importance of getting ahead of Arsenal to that fourth spot. And Arsenal, another team that were interested in him, you have to beg the question, if they'd finished above us, would Bissouma be on the other side of North London? And I'd wager that the answer to that is yes. Fabrizio Romano said about this Bissouma deal, he said, after Bissouma, it's absolutely not over for Spurs with more signings to come. And one player that I think we're expecting perhaps to be one of the next signings for Tottenham is Jed Spence. And Romano maybe putting the brakes on that one a little bit. He said there's still no official proposal from Spurs for Jed Spence. There has been interest and talks with agents, but no bid. Kuva, on the signing of Jed Spence, do you think it's a good move for Spurs, or is it a risk that he's young and unproven in the Premier League?
It's complete punt, really, isn't it? There's nothing to really, no season to compare him with because he's just not been in the Premiership. Mm-hmm. So you look at the sort of attributes he's got, and just that you have to ask, does that fit the sort of the model for what Conte would want in a fullback? Is he quick? Has he got a bit of pace? Lots of stamina? Can he put in a decent cross? Is he capable of getting back when he needs to in plenty of time? Possibly offer a bit of height at times is a bonus, but not necessary. And you'd have to say, yeah, Jed Spence has got a bit of all that, but it's he's more sort of a malleable bit of plasticine at the moment. Conte could turn him into a brilliant player. We could also have a bit of a disappointment. So if we are going for him, personally, I'd like to see us shift the likes of Emerson out, possibly keep Doherty because he's got that versatility playing on either side. Even if he's not a first choice, he's a good sort of squad player to have for later. But if we are getting Jed Spence, I'd prefer to see Emerson go out and then we get a more established right wing back to go with Jed Spence. So you've got the experienced pro with the understudy, and see how he comes on. Because for all we know, he could well turn out to be a brilliant player. I'm not going to big him up, but I'm not going to dismiss him either. It's just a complete unknown quantity. There's potential there. I mean, is that where we want to go if we're going to look for trophies? No, it isn't. That's a gamble. Let's get in somebody with a bit of experience to go with him, and then see how he develops alongside him. I think
the other thing, just on that, I mean, my view is pretty similar to yours. Like, Jed Spence is absolutely a punt. Spurs Twitter is like raving about him, like he's Cafu. We need to like a bit of word of caution. Really, he's had one good season in the Championship, and I think when I look back, Max Aaron's had a good season in the Championship, and there was lots of rumours around us signing him a couple of years ago, but we didn't, and he's turned out to be not that great afterwards. Look, clearly the kid's got something. He had a really good season for Forest. Clearly a bit of an attitude problem, hence why he was sent out from Middlesbrough on loan. But he's clearly got something. So if we're buying him for future talent and potential, I'm absolutely cool with that. If we're buying him as our first choice right wing back, I think it's nuts and doesn't really add up. So you look at our other transfer business. We've just signed Perisic, like the best left wing back in what was Serie A last season. Yeah, is Jed Spence meeting that criteria? Conte wants to build the side to win the league. Jed Spence is a player for 2-3 years' time. He's not a player for now. So I'm surprised we haven't been linked with more right wing backs, if I'm honest, and it does worry me. Does this mean that we go into next season with Matt Doherty as our first choice right wing back? Well, I mean, he was having a good end of season, but he's not had a glorious Spurs career. So I think there's a bit of a worry there, and there's a bit of I'd like to see us linked with some more players. But you're the man who would know that before me, Matt.
Yeah, to be honest, there's not much in the way of links to other right wing backs, to be honest. And I do echo your concerns. I also have optimism and a bit of excitement seeing a young, exciting, kind of raw character coming into the team. But I do agree that all along I would have hoped that it would be Jed Spence +1 and kind of get a similar dynamic. We have Perisic and Sessegnon on the left hand side. Maybe try and replicate that on the right hand side. It doesn't really seem to be the case. You mentioned Forest there, caller, and the way they're going about their business at the moment suggests that they think Spence is coming to Spurs. Lyle Thomas of Sky Sports have said that Forest are expected to push for Ainsley Maitland-Niles to replace Jed Spence. And Scott Wilson of the Northern Echo said that sort of business really shows that Forest appear to have a bit of defeat in the race for Jed Spence. David, I said on Twitter a while ago that the way the Spence deal is kind of dragging on, we're getting kind of we're being drip fed this info every couple of days. For me, it's very reminiscent of the stories around Takahiro Tomiyasu last year when we were waiting for that announcement day on day. You know, with Spence, we're waiting until the end of international duty. With Tomiyasu, we were waiting for the end of the Olympics. And I'm kind of thinking, maybe, is this a smokescreen? And I put it on Twitter and everyone immediately said, Ashraf Hakimi, here we go, which I don't really think is going to happen. But do you think we're going to see Spence in a Spurs jersey, or could we get a plot twist on this one?
Look, there's definitely the potential for a plot twist. I seen one little rumor there not so long ago about this guy Dodo at Shakhtar. I really like him. I encourage everybody to go and check him out. I think he's a very good player. I think it probably is better than Spence. Maybe we could do something there. But look, for me with Spence, Matty, look, the guy's on holidays, so there will be nothing done until he's back from holidays because he can't sign any contracts until he's back. So anything for the next couple of days until he is back it's just I don't know. It's just I wouldn't read too much into it. But look, Matty, this is one that does excite me though. Look, he's young, he's hungry. Tottenham is his preferred destination. There is a lot of interest in this guy, but he has come out and he stated that Tottenham is his preferred destination. So that blows them all out of the water. From my understanding, I think the two clubs are in actual negotiations. When they agree a fee, that's when Tottenham will put the bid in. That's from my understanding of it. But look, Matty, this is a guy that, look, he was out at Nottingham Forest. Nobody knew who he was at the start of this year. He's had a very good campaign for Nottingham Forest. He's got promotion to the Premier League. He got into Championship, I think it was Team of the Year, and he's now an England under-21 international. So there's a lot of hype and a lot of excitement about this guy. And one thing I'll give England credit for is they produce a lot of good right-backs over the last couple of years, or right wing-backs over that side of the pitch. For me, I wouldn't write this guy off. I think, look, is it a Conte signing? No. But you look at the people that, even the staff that Conte is starting to bring in here. Andy Scalding, Simon Davies, Andy Scalding, he has a good grip on the English market. Look at the job he's done with Rangers, some of the youngsters he's bringing through. Simon Davies is now head of methodology of the Youth Academy. So he'll be implementing, hopefully what we're doing in the first team all the way through the Youth Academy to give our players the best chance to kind of come into our first team, indoctrinate the culture of Tottenham and all into them. That's what he's there to do. So we clearly have one eye on the future by bringing in these sort of people. So that's why you're going to see someone like Jed Spence, in my opinion, come in here. I don't think it's a bad idea either, because we can't keep... Look, since Kyle Walker, this is what I'm famous for. I've said this so many times. Why didn't we just use that money we got for Kyle Walker, reinvest all of that into the best right back we could have got for that money, and put him in there? You still wouldn't be sitting here trying to address that problem today. We've spent so much money on that position trying to address it. You can't keep sustaining that as a business model. At some stage, you have to have one eye on the future. And that's what I think they're trying to do with Jed Spence, so that eventually, when he does come into this team, that when he's in, they don't have to spend that money trying to address that problem. It's not a sustainable business model, and they can use the money then to address other areas on the pitch. But as well, I really like Spence. Again, he's a fullback that will take on his man. He likes to get forward. I look at him. He loves getting to that byline, similar to what Kyle Walker used to do. He can run. He's strong. He's physically strong. He has all the attributes to succeed. And for me, I don't think it's a bad point. You look what we've done with Kyle Walker, Danny Rose. A main staple through the Pochettino era, and we didn't have to really spend too much money on them positions. We only had to go and get Kieran Trippier, Ben Davies for little amounts of money because they were so good. But what we done was with them, we got Kyle Walker off Sheffield United, young, I think 17. Danny Rose, I think at 18 from Leeds United, developed them. And then we had 2 fullbacks who played the Spurs way for about 5-6 years and had consistency in them positions. So it's not a bad idea bringing in someone like Spence. I get everybody wants everything for the here and now for Conte. Conte does. But every other club brings in players, 1 or 2 players in the transfer window, hoping to have that next star, that generational talent. Man City do it. They've done it with Alvarez, even though they went and bought Haaland this season. Arsenal are after bringing in that guy Marquinhos. Liverpool do it as well in transfer window. Chelsea do it. Real Madrid. They're constantly buying youngsters from Brazil and stuff like that. So I wouldn't be turning your nose up or going mad about it, because it's something every club does.
Well, don't misinterpret what I'm saying. I think Spence would be a good signing. It would be a good signing. I don't think anyone's turning their nose up. It's more a case of, I don't think he's not a signing for the now. Yeah, look, I hope he proves me wrong. I really hope if we sign him and he's our first choice right back, I'll absolutely be behind him at every game next season where I'm there in the stadium, and I'll be singing his praises when he does well. And I hope that he does do brilliantly, but it's a lot of pressure to put on a young lad to expect him to go into that first team and expect him to be, winning things with us. I think, in all honesty, I'm sure Conte would not be happy with signing an unproven Premier League player to be a. I think any reasonable person would probably say that. But absolutely, is it a good signing? Yeah, he's one of the hottest properties in the Championship, isn't he, this season? And we've seen in the cup run, Forest were permanently on the telly. I saw him play many times. He looks a decent prospect.
Conte is the wing-back whisperer. We have to remember that. He's the wing-back.
He is indeed.
Speaking of Conte...
I think sorry, Matt, go on.
No, go ahead.
I was going to say, compared to Emerson, I think Jet Spence looks a brilliant prospect. Because Emerson, as far as I'm concerned, can't play football. He's an athlete. He's an athlete that knows how to occupy a right-back slot, and that's it.
Well, he's a right back. He's not a right wing back, is he?
No, I don't even think he's a right back. Even old school right backs could cross a ball and pass a ball. He lacks basic qualities of being a footballer, in my opinion. He's a terrible player. Shouldn't be anywhere near a Spurs squad. We're looking to try and win.
He was in Barcelona's squad, to be fair, before Spurs, so it's not just
they've got horrific recruitment policy in recent years. They brought back Paulinho, for God's sake.
Well, I don't think anyone thinks that Emerson should be our first choice right wing back going into the season. But does he? I mean, I feel the hatred for him on social media is a bit much, because the guy can't help that he's limited and put in that position.
Oh yes, it's not his fault.
He give everything to the team. He cares, I think some of the mud coming his way is a bit unfair. Really, we got the purchase wrong. It's not what we wanted.
He just shouldn't be at the club. It's not his fault. But
equally, we signed him for Nuno, and then he ended up playing for Conte, which is He's too.
Is there any value in continuing to try and persevere with him, though? I don't think we should. We should just cut our losses and say he's not good enough. Move on. You've got to be ruthless if you're going to win in this game, haven't you?
Well, I think we are, aren't we, Matt? Is there not rumours about him going up, get to another club?
Yeah, the latest rumours at the moment are that Atletico Madrid have made an approach to sign him. Apparently Roma are interested as well. We'll get into that a little bit more later. I just want to get to a super chat here from Darksong G. Said it's great to see Conte relaxing on vacation while the Don is cooking up our squad for a perfect 5-star dish. Now, once Conte returns, he will be happy. I don't know if you saw the picture that Conte put up on social media. Was he canoeing somewhere while Paratici is getting all this business done? Conte is just relaxing, happy that the club is in capable hands. Got 2 more other comments here. Lappers has said Bissouma Matata is a wonderful phrase. I really agree on that one. Paddy Hartnett as well has said, how much did it cost you to get the posh cheese fella on Matty? Thankfully, there was no money in this one. I just have to clean his private swimming pool 3 times throughout this summer. So it was a good deal.
Good deal.
Oh God, no.
It does need a scrub.
Oh yeah.
Get your mind out of the gutter. We with a few other players to talk about before we get on to Christian Eriksen. A few updates on some other players. Destiny Udogie, left wing back for Udinese, continues to be linked. Sky Sports have said that Tottenham may try and sign him this summer before loaning him out, as they did with Pape Matar Sarr. Perisic and Sessegnon are thought to be Conte's top choices for left wing back. there are a lot of clubs interested in the 19-year-old. I think Inter Milan are one as well. On Gleison Bremer, Darren Lewis of the Mirror has said that Fabio Paratici is targeting a £22 million move for Bremer. That's one we're hoping we can snatch from underneath the noses of Inter Milan. But onto the man of the summer, as it's proving to be Christian Eriksen. Fabrizio Romano said in the last couple of hours that Christian Eriksen has 3 proposals on the table, one from Brentford, one from Tottenham, and one from Manchester United. He's going to decide that in the coming days. Now we know Manchester United have made an offer to Christian Eriksen. That's from David Ornstein, who has also said that Champions League football is not a deal breaker for Christian Eriksen. He will give serious consideration to Manchester United's offer. Kuva, can you see Eriksen accepting a move to Man United, or do you think we will be top of his list if the opportunity arose?
This has become quite a difficult sort of conundrum for me. Before we signed Bissouma, I thought there's no point getting Eriksen because we're going to need somebody that's both got a bit of physicality to their game as well as a bit of craft. I thought Eriksen's probably not going to do that. But when you got Bissouma beefing up the defensive side of your game, that kind of leaves somebody that can have a bit of a floating free roll creative side, and Eriksen could do that. The question for me is his heart really in a return to Spurs? Because by his own admission, he went stale. He felt he had to move on because he just wasn't feeling it anymore. It's good for me. It's got the feeling of taking back an ex-girlfriend. It's just not going to be the same again. I don't buy into the general consensus that he downed tools before he left us. I think he just sort of got disheartened, and it was his lack of form that was the big shot, the big worry, because his running statistics were still right up there. He was running his socks off every game, more than anybody else in the team. But he carried this bad form into his time at Inter as well. He started off having a horrendous time, and they're voting him like one of their worst ever signings. So I think it's just a case of sometimes a player just, that they lose the mojo, they have to move on. I don't think we should be looking to bring that back to the team. I think it's a little bit too much rose-tinted glasses with it. Having said that, a free transfer on a player that we know can perform in the Premiership, and he's now got a space that we could use him in that slot now because of Bissouma. Having that strength, the solidity at the back, just allows that creative little spark up front to do what he does. Just get into little pockets, into little spaces, look for the killer through ball, chip in with a few goals. It's probably worth a punt now, I think, Eriksen. No,
you got to have a creator. You've got to have a creator in there, and Eriksen is as good as anyone. I mean, look, Brentford would probably be relegated if he hadn't gone to Brentford. He completely turned their season around almost single-handedly. You look at the stats. Even against us, he was flicking balls around our defence, left, right, and centre. You have better quality forwards on the end of it. They'd have hammered us because we weren't in that game. And honestly, Eriksen, I get the whole, he was out of form. He was out of form. He went to Inter and he had to adapt to Conte's training methods and style of play. And I think the thing is, ultimately, if Conte wants him at the club, then absolutely get him in, because he's worked with him before. He knows he's obviously got pretty much a picture in his mind what he wants from Eriksen in that midfield, and I think he'd be rotated as well. And as you rightly say, he's probably the most miles in a match. He just doesn't stop running. He works hard, and he's still working hard now. He's look at his running stats for Brentford, exactly the same player. He's got class. It's a free transfer. What's there to lose?
Well, it's really down to him, isn't it? Because he might just fancy it for the change, go to the likes of United, because, even as a Spurs fan and having a lot of animosity towards United, it's still a big club. They still got a very big stadium with a passionate crowd up there. It's a big draw anyway for anybody that knows the league well. If you're coming from maybe abroad nowadays, and it's all about Man City and Liverpool nowadays because they're the ones at the top all the time, and United have sort of faded away a bit. But a lot of players that have known United over the years, they're still going to remember that sort of the glamorous pull that they've had in the past. Maybe some of them have got a little bit of ambition to try and recreate that. So what's Eriksen going to do? We don't really know, do we? It worries me that he left the way he did. That's all I'll say on it.
That doesn't worry me in the slightest. I've got to be honest, because we were at the end of that team cycle, and it's a completely different team now for the most part, and more to the point, a completely different manager and style.
But is it a different Eriksen as well, though? That's the thing. If he's still got that mindset of I've run out of steam there, he might not want to come back.
I think he wants to play Champions League football.
What does worry about me about Eriksen is that he did train with Ten Hag over at Ajax when he was making his recovery. He also Ajax. He came through that academy as well. So that him and Ten Hag will have that sort of Ajax connection. So it might be just enough to be able to get him to Manchester United. But I have seen interviews where he has said he would like to be in the Champions League. I know it's not necessary or compulsory, but he has spoke about maybe a return to the Champions League if possible. I doubt he probably wants to uproot his family from London either. So that could be another pull. So hopefully we can, who knows, we can get him back. If we don't, I genuinely probably think it probably could be the Levy factor, the fact that, there was a bit to and fro about letting him go and for how much and stuff like that. Maybe that's pissed him off. But I wouldn't write it off. He has worked with Conte. Conte knows exactly what to expect from him. He knows what the manager expects from him as well. So it could just be doable, and it would top off our midfield selection. Absolutely perfect. Because
you need that creator. You need it.
I agree with you. I think we do need someone that can operate between their defense and their midfield. Someone that can get in there, pick up the spaces, get turned on the ball, crack a shot. Spray it left, spray it right to get balls into the box. We lacked that severely last season. We didn't have that option whatsoever. We were looking at Harry Kane to kind of drop deep and spark us a lot of the times. But with someone like Eriksen, you don't need that. You can go back to the Harry Kane where he was like under Pochettino, where he stayed up front. You're not looking at him to be the creator and finisher. You can look at him to make clever runs off the shoulder, which he's well capable of doing. And he'll get a lot more goals with someone sort of if they could come in and play in that position compared to what he picked up last season. I think Eriksen would be a good piece of business. Again, like Kuva, I've had to completely change my mind. If you would have asked me last year, I would have said, I said this like when he was linked, I do not want him back at Tottenham because of the way he left. I can't, look, maybe down in tools is the wrong word, but he didn't give it his all. Look at the amount of corner kicks he could barely get past the first man.
That was his whole career.
Yeah, but, for me, I can't forgive that, but now, because he won't be out there every single week, he will be used as a squad player. I'm all for it. Why not? It will complete that midfield. It's someone we need. Plus, against Brentford, or against Chelsea, he destroyed them for Brentford. I have fond memories of him scoring an absolute belter against Chelsea. We have them second game away at Stamford Bridge. Get him in for that. Let him do his job against Chelsea, and away we go.
I suppose there's the other argument as well about he's literally come back from the dead on the pitch. So he's had a second lease of life, and he's just going to be loving every moment of it and being really appreciative of just what a great opportunity he has here. So perhaps that might carry him through and to do great things with us as well. He's a bit of an unknown, but he's also somebody we do know very well. It's a more interesting situation than perhaps the Jed Spence one is for me.
I think with Eriksen, everyone's going to have an opinion on it, and there'll be people who think, he's past it and all the rest of it. That's fine. But the bottom line for me is we've got to sign a creative midfielder whichever way we cut it, because, we're probably going to play 3-5-2 against teams that hold the low block, especially. You've got to have that creative option, So if not Eriksen, we'd have to be thinking about a plan B, and not James Maddison. Can't stand him.
I agree. I know James Maddison had a good end to the season, but I don't think he's on form enough or good enough to get into this Conte team consistently. We've got another super chat there from Dark Sung G, who, if you don't know, is an absolute living legend. Says, last summer, 7 in, only Højbjerg was class, or only Højbjerg is class. Currently, the three we have now are all class. This shows what happens when you have a guy who can use money wisely. Dan Paratici is better than Hitchin. I think we're probably all in agreement on that one. By the way, we've got nearly 800 people watching, and it's not even 200 likes yet. So please do obliterate that like button if you're enjoying the stream, and make sure to hit that subscribe button down below if you're enjoying as well to get more of this content throughout the summer. I did want to dive into Lautaro Martinez, but we're a bit stuck for time, and this is probably one on the unlikely side of things. So I'll just reiterate the rumours that we got last night. Alfredo Padula and Gianluigi Langari both saying that Tottenham are set to make a huge offer, potentially up to £77 million for Martinez. However, it looks set that Inter are actually going to reject that offer. Fabrizio Romano said today that Martinez is super happy at Inter Milan. He just opened a new restaurant in the city centre. He doesn't want to leave. He really wants to stay, and that was clear to the board. And he said nothing is on Inter's table yet in the way of offers. One other link to a potential incoming is Miguel Delaney, who said that Tottenham are challenging Manchester United for Ajax winger Anthony, who I think will end up at Old Trafford, to be honest. But onto the departures, and a name we've already mentioned with Emerson Royal. Gianluca Di Marzio said today that Atletico Madrid have made an approach for Emerson Royal and are now leading the competition to sign him due to their Champions League involvement. Roma are also interested in the Spurs defender. I think we know Kuva's feelings on this one. We'll go to you, David, first. Potential departure for Emerson. How do you feel?
Look, Matty, he's one of the players that I know isn't really good enough for Tottenham Hotspur for where we want to go, what Conte's vision is for this. I can't help but like the guy, Matty. I'll be honest. I like his highlight reels that he does of himself. I like the fact that he gave us that iconic image of the players celebrating with a flair in a North London derby on our own pitch. I mean, it's iconic. I mean, it's like Højbjerg in preseason standing over Arteta in that makeshift cup, at the start of the season and stuff. I mean, he does give us some iconic moments. And I did see recently that he is actually working with someone psychologically to help him as well and hopefully help him improve his game and stuff like that. But look, if the money came in for the guy, I wouldn't be opposed to letting him go, even though I really do like him. It would be with a bit of a heavy heart. But do you know what, Matty? What I will say is I don't think he's done enough damage to himself that we can't recuperate what we spent, which was, I think it was, £25.8 million if my memory serves me correct. He still has 4 years left in his contract, so he will still command in and around that 25 million. So we're not actually going to lose too much. I'll be honest, I know this is controversial. I do not think he's as bad as people make him out to be. I really don't. I think he tries, he works hard, he has a good mentality. In that regard, he fits in with a Conte system. Apparently, a lot of people in and around the dressing room like him. But I just don't think he is as bad as people's made him out to be. Yes, he's had some bad games, but he's also had a lot of very good games that people don't give him credit for. We've also shipped so many goals from set pieces. He's probably won, when he's played in our team, the most headers from defensive corners and stuff like that. One of the only ones that was going and clearing it and stuff like that. So he does add bits and pieces that maybe we currently do lack. But I do agree. I think we do need to sign someone that is maybe more the full package for that position. But I really like the guy. I'm sorry, I know he's useless, but I like him.
At least you can admit he may be a little bit useless. But I agree. He's got a personality. He seems to love the club, and I kind of. He's not as good as Reguilon, but on the other side, Reguilon has got such passion for this team. I remember when we scored that late winner against Leicester with those two Bergwijn goals, Reguilon was on the pitch before the ball had even gone into the net, good on celebrating that. And it's that passion that you like to see, but you need more than just that, which is probably why Eric Lamela is plying his trade with Sevilla at the moment. You need more than just that passion.
Emerson's one of those players, right? So certain fans will hate him, certain fans will love him for his passion and his enthusiasm for the club, and the fact that I think he's just generally quite a decent guy and gives it his all. The reality is, I would normally say, well, he's coming from a different league to our league. He's got to have a bit of an adjustment period. But unfortunately, when you can't control or pass the football efficiently, he's good as though he was in those last 4 games. We need to be thinking everything we do needs to be about, okay, we want to win the league. He's not good enough to be in a squad that is winning the league. And that's where you draw the line with people, like Harry Winks.
Certainly agree with that. At the end of the day, do we want to be cheering on cult heroes like Stefan Freund and Emerson, people like that? Or do we want to be cheering on a Luka Modric, a Gareth Bale and people like that? If you're serious about going to win trophies, you can't have free rides like that. We've got to have seriously intelligent, capable, technically gifted footballers. If we haven't got that, we are not going to be winning big trophies.
What what I will say just quickly, Matty, is as well, there is actually a real potential possibility that this one could actually happen because they're still looking to replace Kieran Trippier, who they let go to Newcastle in January. So I'd keep an eye on this one.
Yeah, hopefully they're desperate to replace him, and they'll go for the first opportunity they get.
It's
Another
such
player,
a weird one as well because Trippier, as we know, he's such an attacking player, puts in the crosses. Emerson does the complete opposite. It's not. Why would they replace one with the other? I don't get that one.
Defensively solid, though. Atletico are a very defensive team.
Is he? I don't think he is.
He is defensively. He's a good defensive right back.
I think most people's problem is him going forward. Maybe his ability on the ball, but defensively, look, what I will say to people out there is we do have short-term memories. Go back to how many times, and I know we kind of disagree on this, Kuba, but how many times did Serge Aurier the season before just cost us with such stupid mistakes? Emerson didn't do that defensively. Yes, you could pick out 1 or 2 goals across the season, but for the majority of it, defensively, he was actually solid compared to someone like Serge Aurier, who was there the season before. Look, going forward, yes, okay, maybe Serge Aurier a little bit better, but he wasn't exactly great going forward either. But what I will say is, I know some people kind of hang this one on to Paratici, and that's why he's not a Don. Or maybe they kind of like looking into Paratici and maybe they question him. But if you actually put some context to it, is Emerson better than what Serge Aurier was for Tottenham? Yeah. And has he been better? Yes, we got top 4 with the guy playing. You know, he played 44 games in his debut campaign. So he's actually been better for us than what Serge Aurier was. So kind of say Paratici maybe got that one right.
I don't think he got it wrong. I think he got it wrong.
Complete crap. Just why bother comparing either? Just get rid of both.
But what I will say is we had to remember that we did have a big problem defensively at that right-back situation at the time. And Emerson did kind of come in and plug it. Look, going forward doesn't offer anything, but he did plug the defensive errors that were happening out that side.
It's not standing rock-footed horse crap and the other in cow crap. Which one's worse?
I mean, there's no point really debating Emerson. He's the past and not the future. But, you know, we signed him for Nuno. Nuno played a back 4. He was solid in a back 4. I don't think you can pin it on Paratici. A lot of it is around the system. We need someone who can attack going forward. If that's Jed Spence, that's Jed Spence. But, you know, there you go.
I love it. Well, I put in the chat a few minutes ago that this is one of the easiest streams I've ever done because this panel is unbelievable, and I can just sit back and let you carry the weight. I love it. Another player.
Yeah, stop rattling on Matt. Come on, David. You're saying.
Sorry.
Next, Matt. Next, come on.
Another player who could be on his way out. Another one who could be on his way to La Liga is, of course, Giovanni Lo Celso. The Villarreal CEO Fernando Roig Alfonso has been talking, and he said Lo Celso is a player who has been happy here and has made us happy, so we would like to continue together, but he's a Tottenham player and it is a very complicated operation as of now. Atletico Madrid also maybe in the mix here. Diario saying that Madrid's management believe that Lo Celso fits perfectly into the team, and Diego Simeone is also convinced Tottenham are open to selling him, and the midfielder is more than willing to make the move. Kuba, I'm sure I speak for every Tottenham fan when I say I could not care less where he goes as long as we get 20 to 25 million pounds.
Don't even care the value, just let him go. Doesn't matter. Any offer, literally any offer. There's no point. He clearly doesn't want to play for us. There's just absolutely pointless hanging on to him. All it does is cost us more money by hanging on to him. So literally any offer at all. Do
you think we'll get to see the back of him this summer, or?
Yeah, I think we will. Yeah. I think there's enough pressure from. Let's put this bit of faith in Paratici here. I'm gonna assume he's going to put enough pressure on Levy to say, look, we just got to cut our losses, take what we can get, invest it in what we do need, because this bloke's useless to the club.
Selling Gio won't be an issue because, and I'll get pelters for this. He's a good player. He doesn't suit the league, but he's very well regarded in Spain. And I think there'll be, you can see there's lots of interest in him. He did really well with his loan move. It just hasn't worked out at Spurs. Cut the losses, move on, get as much money as we can for him. I think he's probably worth 20 million quid, but, we might take a little bit less with and have some clauses in it, to get the money back up. But he just needs to go, doesn't he?
Yeah, I agree that he's a very talented player. He just literally just doesn't want to play for us, does he? You can see it in in his gait, in the way he acts. It's like nothing really matters to him when he was strolling around when the team's struggling.
Unfortunately, we had two of them and spent £100 million that summer. But let's move on.
Yeah, we were all very excited by that window. Me more than anyone, and I still have faith in Jack Clark. Right, I'm not gonna stop believing in him. Another player who could be on the way out, and one that I think we'll all be in agreement as well, is Davinson Sanchez. Alistair Gold has said that Monaco and Marseille have shown an interest in Sanchez, and the interesting twist in that one is that Tottenham has shown an interest in Monaco defender Benoit Badiashile. So there could be, with Lo Celso and Pau Torres, maybe there's a swap deal there. With Emerson and Carrasco, maybe there's a swap deal there. With Sanchez and Badiashile, I'm sure Tottenham will be exploring these avenues. But David, it seems to be Tottenham will sign one centre-back, and if Sanchez goes, we will sign a second. So you think it's a player we have to sacrifice? Or is it not even a sacrifice?
It's not a sacrifice. Look, a lot of people are hanging on to the first 3 games of the Premier League and his last 3 games of the Premier League. Don't forget the period of 10 games he had. And in fact, when he was that bad, he made Emerson look bad. When Romero came in there, all the problems stopped. Emerson went on and looked suddenly a better player. Let's not forget, this guy Sanchez was playing on the right side of the back. He can't deal with balls that come in over his head. He can't kick or pass a football properly. He cannot run with a football. He's like Bambi on ice. And for me, I think he's just completely and utter useless. This is a guy that we brought in for whatever 40-odd million it was. He was supposed to come in and take over for Jan Vertonghen, Alderweireld. Since then, both of them have been and gone. Joe Rodon has even played games, maybe not last season, but the season before. Eric Dyer has come from obscurity, made himself made that position his. Ben Davies has come from a left back into a left-sided centre back. Romero's come in. This guy is not good enough. He's been more a backup under Pochettino, Jose Mourinho, and now Conte. That three very, very good world-class managers, in my opinion. If they're all telling you that, for me, he's another part of look, he's not as bad as a Lo Celso and an Ndombele, but he's just a part of that group for me that has to go. He doesn't offer us anything. When we had to rely on when we had injuries and stuff, we could not play out from the back. Yes, I get Harry Winks and all was another major issue, but we couldn't do anything with this guy. Romero comes in, all of a sudden the guy can play long passes, can run with the ball, can beat players, makes everyone else around him look better, whereas Sanchez doesn't do that. For me, a complete waste of money, overspent, and for me, get him gone at all costs. There's no point in hanging on to him if he's not good enough. People will say to me, oh yeah, but Dave, look, he's only a backup. He can come in, he can do backup. Yeah, for 3 games. But we will get injuries like we had last season where he has to come in for a spell of 9-10 games. And look what happened. Ray, I remind people, he was also a part of the squad that played a lot of the Europa Conference League as well. Look what happened in that. He is not enough to be here.
Who would you retain at the centre backs? I mean, obviously, I know the first 3 you'd retain. Obviously, there's Tanganga waiting in the wings. There's Rodon, waiting in the wings, and we play 3 centre backs, so you need at least 5 centre backs, don't you? So it's probably not likely we're going to sign more than one more centre back. So it's probably quite likely that 2 of those 3 will still be at the club next season. So I'm interested to know what your views on who you'd retain as those backup players.
Look, my views on the defence is probably a bit more radical than most, I would say. For me, look, I think Tanganga, purely because he's a Tottenham boy, his age, he's probably on less wages than Sanchez. He goes towards the homegrown in the Premier League and the Champions League in terms of squad registration. And for me, there's not too much difference between Sanchez and Tanganga. I can also pick out a couple of good games that Tanganga's had in the Tottenham shirt, just like I can for Sanchez. So for me, I think why you still hold value in Sanchez, because if he goes another season being backup, you'll probably get 10, 15 million for him next summer. So for me, why he still holds a bit of value, get rid of him. I also want a centre back in here and a left-sided centre back. Look, I think Dyer and Davies has had good seasons. I think Davies has had a much better season than Dyer. But I'm also awake to their faults. At times they're too slow on the ball back there. You look at someone like Romero who can do a bit of everything. You need someone that maybe has a similar ability like Romero, like Bastoni, in terms of the passing department on the ball, so that we can be a lot more dominant in possession, a lot more dominant in games. I would like someone to come in here and challenge Eric Dyer as well. And for me, what it will do is it hopefully will bring their game to a new level. The fact that they're clinging and holding on to their shirts. But I would like to bring in people to challenge them, because again, we have to remember we did have a lot of injuries. We only really defensively got solid once we could run out Dyer, Davies, and Romero. And we got lucky that we didn't really get any injuries towards the end of the campaign. So for me, I still think we need 2 centre-backs in here. I think you go into the Champions League with what we've currently got at the minute. If Romero gets injured, our backline will be absolutely ripped apart by some of the better teams.
It's interesting with Sanchez. He's got all the attributes you need to be a top centre-back, but he can't read the game. His decision making is appalling. Like he doesn't know when to, and he's got so many mistakes in him. He just switches off. It's a strange one because on paper you go physicality, yeah, fast, yeah, strong in the tackle, strong in the air, but for some reason it just never comes together for him. I think you're right. I'd be quite happy to see the back of him, but equally I wouldn't be that bothered about keeping him at the club as a backup. For me it's either or really. If you can get value for him, you sell him. But I think Joe Rodon's another. Joe Rodon, for his career, he needs to move on. To be honest, because he's just not getting game time. So it's an interesting one. It'll be interesting to see what we do with centre back. Clearly, we're prioritising a left centre back, and I think that will happen. I think we'll get one of them. My hunch is it'll be Torres. Personally, I think we've been tracking him for 2 years. I think we'll move quite strongly for him eventually, but I can't see us signing more than that. And I think it'll be interesting to see who we carry into next season. I agree with your points, by the way. But I just think that in the world of Tottenham transfers, I don't think we're prioritising it as much as, say, a forward.
I just want to add, I really actually do think we really should be focusing on that, because even since Jose Mourinho, we've had a massive problem from free kicks defensively and from corners. We cannot compete. We've seen that even with Romero, Dyer.
Romero's not great in the air, is he?
No, but even Dyer, look at the size of the guy. From set pieces, he should be like what I want my centre back to do is like something like Virgil van Dijk does. As soon as the ball comes in, you're the one that goes and meets it, and you get rid of it. You don't wait for other people to do it. I get Dyer's had a good season, but he's also turned his back on a lot of shots that have gone in where he's opened up the goal. Brighton, for example. And there's a couple of other samples towards the end of the season where he's turning his back. He's letting them get the shots. Your centre-back should be going out there and fronting that. If you take one in the bollocks, take it. You're getting paid, 80, 90 grand a week. Go and buy a new one if you have to. Pay for your surgery. I do not care. When I see lads on a Sunday, Matty, in the middle of a bog, throwing themselves in front of a ball, why can't a Premier League standard player do that? That's what grinds my gears with Dyer and Davies, but as well. They've also switched off at times defensively. Dyer is liable at times to start doing things at walking pace, take 7-8 touches. If teams decide to press us this season, they're going to take the ball straight off, and we're going to keep getting caught. And that's why I do think we need to upgrade that defensive across that back line, because I can see the problems in terms of on the ball. Well, I think we'll end up having to keep doing what Conte does, which is sit back in spells, because we're not good enough with Dyer and Davies. They don't have that passing range for us to be able to dominate games from the back line. And I can see our faults defensively with the amount of goals. You go back and look at our goals over the last 2 seasons, at least more than 50% of them, in my opinion, from my recollection, come from, set pieces and stuff like that. We do not compete. We get absolutely bombarded. We have to rectify that problem, because teams will find us out and they will start doing that. Brighton done it to us. Set pieces, they've done the same routine in the first half 3 times. West Ham just constantly, what was it? One of the cup games where we got away with it. They just constantly put high balls. Yeah. We have to learn to compete with that.
Great.
Yeah,
I think there's a few things to get into on this. Firstly, David, I totally agree with the Dyer turning his back. I've had this argument with somebody recently as well, because I've seen it as well. It really annoys me when you say put your body on the line for it. You get anything in the way of a shot coming in. Yet Dyer does this weird sort of dropping to a knee, twisting to the side, like he's about to do the disco move, point up with a glitter ball, and it just lets the ball fly past him. I don't know why he does that. Perhaps he's trying to block a shot going along the ground, perhaps, because anything else will be easier for Hugo. Perhaps there's a logic to it that I'm not aware of, but I'm not seeing it, and it annoys me. The other one, Sanchez. It was kind of funny what he said, Caller, because you were saying he's got all the attributes to be a centre back, and then you immediately picked out the one that he hasn't got, and it's the most important one: reading the game. It's like the pros always say: positioning, 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 and you can't get that unless you're reading the game, which makes him actually pretty bad. What annoys me with Sanchez is the first season he arrived, he was bloody brilliant. We were thinking this is the
Kevin
future.
Wimmer was good for a season, though. We got rid of him quick fast.
Yeah, but I mean, then when we look at the bigger picture about centre backs at the club, if we're going to be looking, as Conte is quite rightly doing, he wants the league title. How many centre backs have we got of that kind of quality? One. That's so far behind. I think it's not just 2 or 3. We need 4, at least 4 more centre backs coming in. We need some with a bit. Some are going to have to be comfortable playing that centre role or on the left or the right. Bit of versatility between them. We're going to need some with a bit more physical aggression, bit more height, bit more guile, and all of them have got to be able to play football as well. It's a very expensive rebuild just in the centre back department.
Yeah,
seems
it's going to be spread out over a couple of seasons, isn't it?
Yeah, I think that's the likely one. We get two in at most.
Yeah, we get Bastoni, say. I mean, that's the dream. It's going to cost 60, 70 million to get him. Let's be honest. You're only going to spend that once a season. Romero last year, 50 million all in or whatever it was. So I think you're right. We're not, unless we pick up some sort of crazy bargain, a bit like we did with Bissouma, because he's a 60 to 70 million pound player. Then it will be a couple of years, and I think we'll have to sort of make do. What he's done so far is make do, isn't it? You've got Davis, he's a make do.
Lengleg's an interesting one that came up.
Dyer's a strange one because every manager we've had loves him, and I think it's for his leadership qualities, to be honest, as much as his footballing brain. He's a very intelligent bloke, actually, but it's a strange one. Conte loves him, Poch loved him. Jose absolutely loved him. So they do see something in him that maybe...
Apparently with Højbjerg, the caller. Apparently with Højbjerg, he's first in and last out every day in the training ground as well.
Yeah.
That's what
I mean, of the ones we've got, I mean, Romero's obviously a starter no matter what.
Yeah.
But I think pretty much all the fan base are probably going to agree it's going to have to be Dyer and Davies that we keep. It's the ones that aren't in the team at the moment. Sanchez, Tanganga, Rodon. They're the 3 expendable ones, you'd have to say. My own thought was we're more likely to keep Sanchez just because he maintains a bit of value, but that could also be the reason why we got to sell him, just to use the money more sensibly in somewhere else. But Rodon's a complete waste of time. Tanganga, for me, I love his attitude. I love his aggression. I love his willingness, a bit of athleticism about the bloke. But I don't think he's a particularly great footballer, unfortunately. And I think he's going to struggle to make the grade with us. Perhaps a loan for him is an answer, just to see how he can get on. I'm not confident he's there long term for us, unfortunately, which is a great pity because, like I said, I love his attitude. So we've got an expensive rebuild job at the back there, but I think we knew that.
Yeah, and like Colin mentioned there, like Stephen says in the chat, it's not a one season job. We're not going to be able to get all that done this year. But I think the important thing is that we make that starting lineup good enough to compete. And if we get injuries, we get injuries. We'll have to deal with that as it comes throughout the season. But we need to have a solid back 3 starting. And for me, I think Romero and Dyer is a damn good place to start. Get a left centre back. Ideally, maybe we get someone to compete with Eric Dyer. But I don't think it's the worst thing in the world if he's in that position for the next season.
Matty, just on that, I mean, Davis was fantastic.
He was.
I think to be fair,
he was. I think what Davis lacks is the ability on the ball going forward, which may be a bit weird because he's stepping in from left back. We perhaps expect that to be the best part of his game, but I think we need someone who's a bit more productive when he gets forward with the ball and probably better in the air as well. Because like you mentioned, Romero isn't the best in the air, so we probably like to balance that on the other side. We've got a few super chats there. John Stokes says, Dave, when you're talking about Sanchez, he said, well said, Dave, and 3 applause emojis. So I think he agrees with you on that one. Jackson G as well said, please, Spurs, get Kim Min-jae as backup. He is great. And I saw a report today that Kim Min-jae is open to a move away from Fenerbahce this summer as he looks to fulfill his dream of playing in one of the top leagues. I did want to get into Reguilon as well, but again, I'm very conscious of time. So I just want to mention that Paul O'Keefe said that Tottenham would like to move Sergio Reguilon on this summer. I think we all kind of knew that, and I doubt any of us will be against that. If you are against that, speak now or forever hold your peace. But look,
it's another one. The first season, it was great for us, and then it just suddenly went.
Yeah. And the worst part about that for me is I expected Reguilon to go on and become one of the best left backs in the country under Antonio Conte. They seem to suit each other so well. But yeah, it's not turned out as we would have hoped. But hopefully Perisic and Sessegnon going forward will be a ready-made replacement for Reguilon. There's 820 people watching, and we're still only on 299 likes. So let's smash that like button. Let's get that up to 400. Also hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. We're on the road to 15k. Hopefully before this month ends. We're about 185 away, so I really would appreciate some support on that. And there are 3 other people here who need some support, and I'm going to let them plug the lives out of their own stuff at the moment. Caller, we'll start with you because I know you're streaming in about 20 minutes. Tell everyone what they need to know.
Yeah, funnily enough, with Dave over here. So yeah, it's the Tuesday podcast. I host a show Mondays and Fridays 9 p.m. and we have a transfer show on a Wednesday and a transfer show on a Sunday. So get over there, give us a subscribe if you'd be so kind. And come and join us at 9. It'll be a great show tonight. Certainly, Dave has got a lot to say. So we look forward to talking about it. And we'll be talking transfers and all things Spurs, as we always do. So we'd love to have you over at the Cheese Room podcast.
Mm-hmm. And you got everyone watching, you got the perfect time to go get a cup of tea, go grab a bite to eat, and be sat back down in 20 minutes to watch the Cheese Room podcast.
Absolutely.
David, the Irish Hotspur, what can people expect?
Yeah, look, you can find me over the Irish Hotspur. Look, we do a lot of debates, transfer news, transfer shows. And look, behind the scenes, I'm working incredibly hard. I've got a lot of new content coming as soon as the season kicks off. Hopefully to a very good standard as well. Hopefully everybody enjoys it. Why not get over there and smash the subscribe button if you've liked what I've had to say here today. I know I'm not everybody's cup of tea. Some people want me to shut up. But look, that's the way it is. Maybe the ones that do like me, get over there and smash that subscribe button. But Matty, thank you for having me on, my man. I've really enjoyed the stream. Absolute
pleasure, Dave. Appreciate your time as always. Kuva, let the people know where they can find you.
I echo what David said. Thank you for letting me on the show. It's really nice to be on there. You're such an established character around the Spurs scene. So transfer news is all Matty A's, as it always has been, as far as I know anyway. I'll be over tomorrow night, tomorrow afternoon, I should say, or lunchtime-ish. I'll be on with 3 Spurs boys with Bobby Kay. Just having a bit of fun there, just chill out sort of session with him. And in the evening, it will be onto Bob Spur TV for the craziness and silliness that is his show. It's not so much the football, it's just having a bit of a laugh for people. It's a sort of pub session away from the pub. That is the sort of stream I absolutely love nowadays. It's it all gets a bit too serious at times. I like to keep it silly where possible.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, look, Bobby's channel is definitely the place to go if you want things to get a little bit silly. But look, all of these guys absolutely do deserve the support. I popped the links there in the chat, as David has as well. Make sure to go and check them out. For me, thank you everyone who's tuned in. We've had crazy numbers on the stream, nearly 3,500 joining us over the last hour or so, which is a bit of a big number. So I do really appreciate it. Thanks as well to these 3 guys for their time. Really enjoyed your input, and like I said, this is a very easy stream for me, just letting you run the show, and it was a very, very good one indeed. So thanks to you, thanks to everyone who's tuned in. Like I said, please do make sure to hit that like button down below. We're closing in on 400 likes. Let's get it over the line, and do hit that subscribe button as well for more content like this throughout the summer, and hopefully the announcement of a few more signings. But for me, from the